Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Becky and this is Brea Makes Art, and today I want to share a mistake that I made with you. My first plan was I was going to make a painting on one of these really cheap canvas boards that I got from the dollar store. This is basically just a piece of cardboard with a piece of canvas glued on it. A while ago I painted this brown with some acrylic that I had left over, and it's just been sitting there waiting to be used. So now we're just going to go right into the process of me getting started on this painting, and then I will talk to you about what mistake I made and what happened. Okay, I have my undersketch done. I think it's really cute. I'm going to go ahead and do something to seal this pencil in because as I was working on it, I don't know if you can see that, I got a lot of color on my hand. I think I was picking up a lot of the pencil, and I don't want that picking up and kind of getting into my paint. So I did a quick Google search to find out how the best way to do that is, and there's a couple of different ways. One of them is to just spray it with some fixative, which I know I have. You can also use varnish or a clear gesso. I don't have any clear gesso. I do have some varnish, but I think I'm just going to use my workable fixative and spray this and then just kind of let it set and dry. And then I'll come back and get to painting. I think that should work fine for gesso, but we'll see. So here is the canvas panel after I had sprayed it with the workable fixative, and my first thought was I was going to lay down some really watered down layers of color just in all of the different areas so that I had just kind of a base color everywhere. And as you can see, the paint is just beading up on this canvas board after it had been sprayed with the workable fixative. And I wasn't really sure what was going on. I thought at first that maybe this was actually just an issue because it was such a cheap canvas board that I got from the dollar store. But it turns out that that's actually not the case, but because I did take my other canvas board and I tried putting a really watered down version of the paint on there, and it works just fine. It is actually the workable fixative that is basically, I'm guessing, putting kind of a plasticky coat on there, which means that any really thin version of the paint isn't going to stick. On the upside, I did manage to get paint to stick as long as it was a little bit thicker. As you see here, I'm using a little bit thicker paint and it is sticking to the canvas, and so I am able to continue the painting, but it is going to be a little bit harder for me to do because that means that my first layer is going to be a little bit thicker. And if you haven't worked with gouache before, one of the things with gouache is that you have to keep putting thicker and thicker layers of gouache on top so that it'll stick. So you can't really easily put a thin layer of gouache on top of a thicker layer of gouache without kind of moving around that bottom layer. So that means that I'm going to have to be really careful with my layering, and I probably won't be able to layer quite as much. I was really bummed too because I was really excited about the sketch that I had here. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good starting point. And then that kind of just put a bit of a damper on the whole painting process because I wasn't able to proceed the way I wanted to proceed. And so it just kind of made me feel a little bit down about the whole thing, which made me work a little bit slower on it because I was just a little bit less excited. And so that's kind of a bummer. In the future, I know not to use workable fixative on my paintings, so I just wanted to warn you guys that that's not really a valid option for gouache anyway, or for really watered down paints. I'm guessing that if I had used acrylic on top, it probably would have been fine because I probably wouldn't have been going in with such thin layers. But with the gouache and trying to use really thin layers, that wasn't really going to work out. I ended up trying the workable fixative instead of varnish because I was afraid that the varnish was going to do the exact same thing as the workable fixative did to me. And I did not have any clear gesso, and I definitely didn't want to put white gesso on top because that would have covered up the lines and defeated the whole purpose of doing the thing. I know that using just watercolor paper and drawing on it, that's not really an issue. I haven't had the lines kind of pull up or get mixed into the paint or anything like that. But on this canvas panel, as I was working on it, the lines were kind of getting rubbed away, and I didn't want to lose any of the line work that I had there because that was going to really help me kind of get this painting going. So I did put the fixative on there in order to preserve that. I'm not sure if the workable fixative is going to somehow impact the longevity of this painting, but I wasn't terribly worried about longevity when I started this painting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used this really cheap canvas board from the dollar store. I wanted to do this painting just so that I could continue to do paintings, and I wanted to do 12 paintings this year anyway. That's one of the goals that I set for myself. So this is the first painting that I'm doing this year, and seeing as it's getting close to the end of January, I knew I had to get started on it in order to actually get a painting done this month, because if I don't do one painting a month, I'm going to feel really behind, and then I'm going to feel really pressured, and I don't think I'll do nearly as good of a job on each of the paintings. Not terribly upset that this happened. It is a learning experience, and I have made some progress on the painting. It is not done yet, so I still have a bunch of work to do on that, and I'm hoping to get that out to you guys for next week's video. I definitely wanted to share my experience with you and let you know that workable fixative is not really a viable option to kind of seal in your line work for gouache if you want to do kind of really watered down layers. If you're not planning on doing thin layers, then it's probably not a big deal and you can go ahead and do that. But I would really recommend getting like a clear gesso or something like that in order to seal those lines in, or to use your underpainting and just kind of paint it in with your underpainting color so that it's there and you don't have to worry about it. I hope this video helps some of you guys out. If you have experienced similar issues, please let me know. Or if you have other ideas, tips, tricks, whatever to share with me, I would love to hear them. Please think about subscribing, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.